Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. Who would like to see some crippling evidence against the SEC regarding the topic of XRP being sold as an unregistered security by Ripple? Anybody out there, any takers? I'm willing to, I can't see you, but I'm willing to bet all of you are raising your hand to the affirmative. Because look, there's a way of looking at the most recent legal development and basically seeing that there's proof the SEC did not think XRP was a security in 2018, which of course is crippling. Because if they didn't have that clarity, how the hell could they have expected Ripple to have such clarity, and Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson? Well, they couldn't, and so that plays into their fair notice defense, which would absolutely end the lawsuit. Like if it is the case that the court finds that their fair notice defense stands, this is over. And so this is all a very big deal. And so I'm going to share with you in this latest Moon Lambeau Hot Jam perspective from two attorneys within the XRP community. Attorney Jeremy Hogan, who of course runs the very popular YouTube channel Legal Briefs. He had some very, very interesting take on this, and you'll see why I'm talking about this being potentially crippling evidence. And also I've got some comments from attorney John Deaton, who of course is the attorney seeking to intervene in the SEC versus Ripple case on behalf of over 20,000 XRP holders. So plenty to discuss here. But before going further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, just as a hobby, though, just for fun. That's all that's going on here. And so here's a news story from Crypto Newsflash titled, "Did the SEC Lie About the Hinman Speech? Ripple fights for 3 documents that could prove it did." And so this is what I was talking about just yesterday, and I'm going to do my best to rehash as little of this as possible, but I do need to do just a little bit of table setting to make sure that people that may have missed that story are sufficiently caught up to speed so we can talk about the most recent perspective, specifically from attorney Jeremy Hogan, because on social media he shared a couple thoughts that I think you're going to find very fascinating here. And so there are a couple bullet points at the top of this article. Number 1, the SEC previously claimed that Bill Hinman, a former top official at the SEC, was speaking from a personal opinion on Ether not being a security. And bullet point number 2, Ripple is going after documents that could prove that the SEC may have lied about this, with these documents purportedly showing an email correspondence on the same. And so I went through in my video just yesterday the degree to which the SEC is arguing that these documents shouldn't even be considered by the judge. And so not only should they not be entered into evidence, but they're also saying that the judge shouldn't even bother wasting her time personally reviewing them to see if they should be put should be part of evidence, which is astonishing. Like, and the reason seems pretty damn obvious here, as you'll see as we go through this. And so Jeremy Hogan shared this. Now, this I did share in the video yesterday, but I'm sharing this again just as a little bit of catching people up to speed for those that may have missed what's been going on over the last day or so. But Jeremy Hogan tweeted out the following. And this is in response to Ripple's most recent legal filing against the SEC. And so he wrote, "Clever. Ripple argues that the deliberative process privilege does not apply to any of the SEC's documents it does not want Ripple to obtain because the SEC itself has never deliberated about policy, re digital assets." And so right there, again, to be clear, these 3 documents, which are probably highly consequential to this case, the SEC is saying, no, we can't have these be a part of this case. It can't be part of evidence because we're claiming privilege. The information within these documents, it must remain private, and it's not, and they're saying it's not relevant to the case. But again, then you also know that the SEC has publicly stated, and it's the case, that they never deliberated about policy regarding digital assets. So if they never deliberated about policy regarding digital assets, then you can't make a privilege claim to try and keep these documents out of evidence. It's got to be part of the trial here. And so then Jeremy Hogan also wrote, for example, e.g., William Hinman was only deliberating for himself not the SEC, right? Which is a crucial point. And so then there was also this, and this was the biggest bombshell that I reported on yesterday. There's been so many bombshells lately. I mentioned this in a video too yesterday. It's just astonishing. It's like I need to like have a moratorium on using the term bombshell, because like I try to use it sparingly, because like only on the very biggest things, but there have been some monsters that have been coming out. And I'm like, there's so many damn monsters coming out here that are legitimate bombshells that I just like, I need to use it more frequently than you might think. And so I actually didn't use it yesterday. I didn't use that term in my video title or thumbnail, but I acknowledge this is a bombshell. Take a look at what else Ripple covered here. Look at this. The SEC's June 13th, 2018 XRP memo. This is amazing. Perhaps the most explosive revelation of the SEC's privilege log is that the SEC's Division of Corporation Finance, a division that operates distinctly from the Division of Enforcement, wrote a memorandum containing a legal analysis of XRP. And so that memorandum was then circulated to certain individuals at the SEC on the day before former Director of Corporation Finance Bill Hinman gave a speech publicly declaring Ether not to be a security. And so now you're caught up. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. From Jeremy Hogan, and this is where it's like a gotcha against the SEC. If you're the SEC, you're having a bad day. Like I don't even know what they're gonna do to combat this. But here's what attorney Jeremy Hogan had to say in response to this very topic. He wrote, "There was a legal analysis of XRP by the SEC in 2018." Oh, let me mention this before going further too. It's worth noting that this legal analysis of XRP done by the SEC, and it's by Bill Hinman's division within the SEC, this analysis took place, it was completed before the investigation against Ripple started. So it's not something, they can't claim privilege for that either here. So anyway, Jeremy said, there was a legal analysis of XRP by the SEC in 2018, which analysis can only be one of three things. And this is brilliant. So it can be one of three things. Number one, it could state, this analysis of the SEC, it could state that XRP is not a security. Enough said. Right? And that's clear. That's clear why that's enough said, right? If XRP is not a security, then why the hell is the SEC even suing Ripple, right? So that's not what's in there. It's not going to state probably that, not definitively at least, that it's not a security. Number two, XRP is maybe a security. This is fair notice gold. So to be clear, this would play perfectly into Ripple's fair notice defense, because if the SEC is saying that XRP might be a security, that means that they don't know. They don't know if it is or isn't. And so how could you expect Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson to know that XRP is a security if they didn't know? So that's the fair notice defense, has some serious teeth. And there's the third option. The third option is, as this is what Jeremy Hogan wrote, XRP is a security. And then he writes, if so, why try so hard to hide the analysis? Right? So doesn't it seem obvious that this legal analysis did not come to the conclusion that XRP is a security? Doesn't that seem obvious? Because look, this is crippling evidence against the SEC. If this is the case, and this is why they're fighting so hard to hide this thing, about this is the skeleton in the closet, probably. I mean, I'm speculating, but it could be the skeleton in the closet that we all figured probably existed and hoped existed, right? Because this just like ends everything. Because again, if in that analysis from 2018, before the investigation against Ripple started by the SEC, they're saying XRP is a security, why hide this? Because that's just in line with what you're claiming now. You should want that out there to prove it, right? Wouldn't you think? So that's why so what's more likely is there's some waffling around where they're like, XRP could be a security for this or that reason, or might not be for this or that reason. So it's a maybe. And that is not what the SEC wants. I think they're in big trouble. I seriously think they're in big trouble. And so check this out. Somebody from the XRP community named Kellen Harris had a rather thoughtful consideration in response to this. And so he wrote to Jeremy Hogan and said the following. And again, he references the third option here, which is that XRP is a security, and he's saying that's the third option that the SEC could have come to that conclusion. So Kellen Harris writes, if number 3, fair notice still stands, in my opinion. So he's saying even if the SEC came to the conclusion that XRP is a security, they didn't make that publicly known, and so that's still a fair notice concern, right? And then he says, they never shared that view with the market and had not made any material distinctions of what constitutes as sufficiently decentralized. And then Jeremy Hogan responded to that and wrote, another thing to think about. If the memo says XRP is definitely a security, why did the SEC then spend the next 2.5 years investigating Ripple before filing the lawsuit? That makes no sense. I suspect the memo says something much more nuanced. Yeah, and so I would expect it too. And in terms of the nuance, it could be a security for these reasons. It might not be for these reasons, which again plays into the fair notice defense. That would be my best guess at this point. It's just a little bit of speculation, but that seems at this point most probable to me. And so why would they have, if they were so clear they knew, why would they spend another 2.5 years investigating Ripple if they came to the conclusion in 2018 that it is a security? Like, why not? Because the investigation wasn't open until some time after that. Why wasn't the investigation immediately opened if that's the conclusion that they came to? None of that makes any damn sense, right? Well, of course not. This isn't logical. It's just bureaucrats behaving in a way that bureaucrats behave, I guess. And then there was this. Somebody named Agatode42 wrote to Jeremy Hogan and said, with a number of ex-SEC employees on board in Ripple's legal team and board of directors, one might assume that Ripple already knows the content of the analysis, ? Which I think is a brilliant point. And so what they're talking about here is there's Andrew Seresny, who's a former SEC employee, one of the primary lawyers on Ripple's legal team now, former SEC employees. I can't remember his title now, but he was higher up. And then you've got Mary Jo White. She was actually the chair of the SEC. Okay? And so, you know, Agatode's point well taken here. With all of these ex-SEC employees on board in Ripple's legal team and board of directors, one might assume Ripple already knows the content of the analysis. So these documents, he's saying some of these people that are now working for Ripple, they already saw those documents years ago when they were at the SEC. And Jeremy Hogan responded with the following. He wrote, I was thinking the same thing myself. Great minds think alike. Smiley face. Yes, indeed. It stands to reason. I think they have an idea of what's in there. I bet they do. I really strongly bet they do. And then there's this from attorney John Deaton. The SEC's case against XRP is both disingenuous and intellectually dishonest. And then he goes on to cite Joseph Lubin here, who is one of the co-founders of Ethereum. And so he writes, Joseph Lubin admitted in a video that Ether 1 was never meant to scale and was intentionally offered while they continued to build. So just let me pause there. He's talking about the iteration of ETH, the original iteration of ETH upon its launch. We're just calling that ETH 1. Saying that was never meant to scale. And I covered this in a separate video. It's a major, incredible development, and you'll see why as I go through this further. But anyway, John Deaton continues. Ripple controls 4% of the validators on the XRP ledger. Ripple owns 55% of the outstanding XRP. That doesn't mean they control the ledger. In fact, looking back at 2018, there's concrete proof that the XRP ledger was functionally more decentralized. Ripple offered an amendment to the ledger, and it was vetoed by the rest of the network. Decentralization isn't determined by who owns the most of an asset. In blockchain, decentralization refers to the transfer of control and decision-making from a centralized entity, individual, organization, or group thereof, to a distributed network. That's the XRP ledger. So let me pause. This is a point that I've been making for a number of years, actually. When you're talking about decentralization as it pertains to the XRP ledger, it has nothing to do with how much anyone anyone or any entity holds in terms of quantity of XRP. Okay, when you're talking about centralization, you're talking about exactly what he cited right there, and having special permissions or controls over the ledger. Is there a central point of failure? That type of stuff. As far as the quantity of XRP, that's a concentration of XRP, which has nothing to do with centralization. And so the key idea here, concentration of XRP versus centralization of the XRP ledger, two very different things. And Bitcoin maximalists out there like to pretend like that's not the case, but they absolutely are. And then John Deaton stated, to wrap this up, SEC enforcement told Charles Gasparino that the reason Ether got a pass was that its network was completely built. The video below proves otherwise. Before the SEC makes bogus claims to Fox Business, it needs to educate itself about the difference between the token and the network. Which is, yeah, so that's a rather salient point, and that's something that I've been bringing up on this channel as well. But, yeah, because they did state, for those of you that missed, they were insiders at the SEC that have connections with people at Fox Business. So the SEC employees, unnamed, told Fox Business that that's the reason Ethereum has gotten a pass. It's completely built out. But then we have this video now with a co-founder of of Ethereum stating that that Ethereum it was never intended to scale, and it has serious scaling issues. It was a prototype. This is what he said. It's on video. It's not a question. And so, man, the SEC, they have got quite the uphill battle. I would not want to be any of those asshat attorneys. Like, I do not envy the position that they're in. I would be happy to be an attorney on Ripple's legal team because they're on the right side of history. They don't have to lie and make up a bunch of BS arguments to win. They're just right. They just are. So you guys can let me know what you think, but I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.